Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
I can't believe it.
What
We're
can't you
back
believe?
again.
We're back again.
102 episodes,
Wow.
right?
This is true. We're on 102.
And here we go again.
Back again.
And Naomi's still with us.
Yep.
I am.
We should find out how many shows Naomi's done with us.
Yeah, when we get to 100 shows with Naomi, I should write a song.
Stop.
Maybe I'll write the song.
Yeah, you'd write the song. It'd be your turn. It'd be your turn to not write the song.
So I want to know, are you going to write the song or are you going to talk about writing the song for like 8 episodes?
Yes.
Oh, burn.
Well, I didn't bring it up. I just thought I'd throw it in because it was too late. It was already under the bus. Just keep driving.
So when are we going to give our listeners the pleasure of your talent?
Whenever get damn well around to it at this point.
Wow, that was very forceful, but you know, I just realized we'll be a little more patriotic if I put on my blue shirt.
Blue shirt.
Well, look.
So, anyways, I just want to know one thing and then we'll move on. When Peter talks to his wife like that, what do you think happens?
Nothing.
I'll do it when I damn well want to.
Oh, probably
Huh?
no dinner for a while.
Maybe this
Any
is the
food
reason why.
or-
This is the reason why she gives him such a hard time, because
It
he
all
talks
makes
to her like
sense
that.
now.
Her giving me a hard time is giving me no time. That's the hard time she gives me is no time.
She ignores you.
Yeah. And
Oh.
the thing about supper, did you make supper? No. I didn't have any. I didn't take anything out. You hungry? No. I'm hungry. Okay.
McDonald's is down the road. All right, episode number 102, Peter.
Good morning,
102.
Naomi.
Good morning.
Good morning,
So what do we have
Naomi.
on the docket today?
5 easy steps to buying real estate without a loan.
This is that's a great title. Is it
You-
some great information too?
Yes, well, you
I'd
do it all the
imagine so.
time, so you're going to have a
Yes.
lot of input today.
All right.
Yeah, but Phil, is it really easy? You say 5 easy steps. It can't be easy.
I think
Right.
people deliberately complicate it. I
Yes.
know I do.
Yes,
It can't be that easy, right?
right. I don't know. I'm doing deals.
Yeah.
All right, here's the description. Here we go. This podcast is specifically, that means for what? Certain types of people, right? Some are going to want it, some aren't.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is specifically for those whom want to avoid costly mistakes when trying to turn houses into cash. Huh?
I don't know anybody who wants to have costly mistakes.
Right.
Mm-mm.
In the next 60 minutes, you will get 1, how to find hot deals most investors throw in the trash.
That's
They
the
don't-
interesting
Wow.
And
part.
they don't even know that.
That's the interesting part.
2,
That's true. That's true.
it is true.
I know that one.
2, why you will never have to borrow money for these deals.
That sounds really amazing, Bill. Keep talking.
You ready for more?
Let's go.
Number 3, exactly how to remove all the risk so you can't lose. Number 4, the perfect way to make offers that anyone with or without experience can do and sellers love. 5, why you should never have to worry about income after listening to this podcast again.
Sounds like the American dream.
So enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay? What do you think?
I think it sounds great.
Think those are bold promises?
Those are really bold promises, Bill.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So first step, we're going to do 5 steps. First step is, how do you find leads?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we've talked about a lot in past episodes is if you don't have leads coming into your business and people willing to spend money with you and spending money with you, you don't have a business. So most people think they're in the business of whatever, plumber, doctor, realtor, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're in that business, but they're not. They're not in the business of delivering that service. They're really in the business of finding leads and getting people convinced that that service is what they want and need, which is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So really, any good business, if you look at them, knows how to acquire leads and satisfy them. That's really a successful business model, isn't it? How to acquire leads and satisfy them.
Exactly. And it's a numbers game. I've seen people, I reached out to, 3 people and they all said no. It's like,
Exactly.
no. Scale it up, 100 people.
Right.
And out of that 100, anyway, okay.
We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
We're actually going to talk about that
Get
before we
into
get
actual
done.
statistics
Yes.
so that people don't get discouraged when
Right.
they're not getting responses.
So the way to do this, and after studying a lot of marketing and spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing over the years, the thing that I have learned, and I think Dan Kennedy originally stated it, and I've kind of taken something from his material, so I want to make sure he gets credit for it. But you have to get your message to match your market. So the first problem you have is, who's your market? And then the second thing you need to be concerned with is, what's the conversation they're already having in their head pertaining to what the problem is, right? So if your message is, I can wash kitchen floors, then who wants kitchen floors washed? And what's the conversation they're having in their head pertaining to a kitchen floor being dirty?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you just match all that up and you find out where those people are and why they're thinking about what they're doing, and then present them a solution that's reasonable, and you will never have to worry about income again.
How do you find that out?
That takes a lot of work,
Mm.
a lot of research,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of testing, right? A
Mhm.
lot of research and development. Fortunately for all of you, I've spent all that money and I'm willing to share it. And the two ways that, and you guys know this, the two ways that we get leads, the two significant ways, there's really 3, but 2 of them we use a lot, is we call for sale by owners, because
Yep.
it's an exact match to our message, right? Because what do we want to do? A terms deal. What is a terms deal? We're going to pay you monthly until we can get you
Paid off in
paid
full.
off in full.
Yep.
So why would a FSBO be an exact match? Because number one, they're looking for all the money. They don't want to pay fees.
Yep.
Right?
They don't want a realtor. They can't afford it.
Right.
They're selfers.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because they're over leveraged.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's because they had a bad experience. Sometimes they think that this is the only asset they have and they should get all the money.
Right.
So first thing is they don't want to pay fees. They want all the money. Second thing is they don't always need their cash right now. Right? And the third thing is, what's the third thing? I got lost there.
Oh, what do we have so far?
Yeah, I think the first one I did both of them together. So
Let's start again.
yeah, they want all the money.
All the money.
Yeah, they don't need their cash now,
Right.
and they're willing to accept payments.
Yes.
Yep.
There we go. One,
yeah,
2, 3.
Yeah, I did. The first one I did both of them. So
Well, those are the 3 things you negotiate when you're negotiating.
Right.
So you start
So
with
it's a-
that, and that's how you get. That's where you get in the end.
yeah, so it's a perfect audience.
Yep.
So that's why we call for sale by owners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to get into that in great detail. The second thing that we do is we do yellow letters, and we mail handwritten yellow letters. They're called yellow letters because they're put on legal notebook pad
Yeah.
paper. Yeah, if
Just
you're
like that.
Well, it's not really legal. It's the letter size.
well, it's called legal, but
Okay.
legal letter size. You're talking about legal size paper.
Yeah.
This is called legal notepads.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
Yep.
anyways, we handwrite them, and we have a way to automate that so that we don't have to handwrite every letter. And the list that we use is a list that we make, which I'm not going to go into today. You can find that at flippinghousesforrookies.com. The list that you make is out-of-area owners. In other words, the house is at one address, and the tax bill goes to another address. Okay? So we mail to those. Those are the main two main ways that we get leads. And the third way is, Peter still does it, is we do signs, bandit signs,
Yep.
which
I have
still works.
Yeah.
I have
it's
4
still-
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still works, but
Oh.
there's some zoning issues, and it's like manual labor, and with the internet the way it is
Mhm.
these days, you don't have to go through all that hassle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the big thing we're going to talk about today is finding. So the first step is finding for sale by owners online.
Mm-hmm.
So the easiest way in the world to do that is to call up your virtual assistant. You have a virtual assistant? Both of you do. You probably don't even know it. Peter's looking at me like
Mine's
he's,
called-
he's staring me. He's staring me like a deer within the headlights.
Well, I have 2.
Yeah.
One's called Mary, and one's called Mary. Go see if there's emails from Bill.
What about Pat Live?
No. Google.
Google?
I'm just joking around with you.
Well, I-
Googly.
Your virtual assistant is called Google. Everybody's got the virtual assistant Google. Like, go, hey,
He's right,
Google.
Naomi.
Hey, Google, go find me some for sale by owners in my city. That's what it's
Well,
doing,
no.
right?
What about
We-
Siri? You think Siri would do that as well?
Yeah,
What would Siri do?
yeah. We
We
try
have
it.
that in our
Like,
kitchen.
okay.
I got to try that next time I go home. Like, hey, okay, Google, boop, boop, get me some Fizbos. Email them to me. What? See if it does
I do
it.
not understand that command.
Wow, that'd be awesome. And call them and see if they're
Oh.
willing to take terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they say yes, send me the leads.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll
Oh
be
my
on the
gosh.
patio.
You're onto something, Pete.
I'll be on the patio.
Naomi
like,
likes this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super
We're going to
smart
work this out
computer.
at lunchtime
And
today.
they'll always be polite too. Rather
Yes.
than like, you're driving me nuts.
All right, so we're gonna pick one of these 3 things, either your city,
Mm-hmm.
your county, or your state, depending on how many leads you want. The amazing thing is you don't need as many as you think. So your city will have less leads than your county, and your county will have less leads than your state, obviously, because it's bigger territory. Right?
Yep.
So like in our county here, it's called New Haven County in Connecticut. You would type in New Haven County for sale by owners.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest fish in the pond is going to be Zillow. Okay. The thing that you need to know about for sale by owners is that you only need 10 of them. So let's go over that statistic, which we were talking about earlier.
Sure.
Okay. So you, more than me, but you
Yeah.
and I will say,
Yeah.
which is mostly you, have realized with the opening callers
Mhm.
that we do between 10 and 12 calls and we get a lead.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I've been reading some stuff and doing some research on it, and others say around the country, which
Mhm.
is not the case with me and my coaching clients,
Right.
or with you or with me and my staff. Okay, it's between 19 and 20 calls. Okay, but there are some other people that are doing it, and they say 19 to 20 calls.
Right.
Okay, so let's just say it's between 10 and 20 calls. I'm telling you that if you do 10 phone calls, you're going to get something.
I mean, like we've spoken about before, it can be somebody that says, I'm interested.
Right.
I mean, does that mean that it's going to happen? You know, we don't know.
Right.
But you follow up with them.
Correct.
I'm interested.
Correct.
So,
at this point, what I'd like to talk about is a hot market and not a hot market, because that matters when you're calling for sale by owners. So the definition of a hot market is something that gets put under contract within 30 days of its grand opening or its grand release or whatever you want to call it, right? So if you put a house in the market on the 1st of the month, and by the 30th, if you have a contract or you've sold, it's a hot market.
yeah.
Okay. A not hot market or a dead market is anything that goes over 90 days. Right? So the bad thing about a hot market is that who's going to want to take terms? In other words, who's going to want to take payments until we can pay them off when they can get all their cash now?
Right.
There are people that will do it, but it's less.
Mm-hmm.
The bad thing about the not hot market, the 90 days plus, is that they're easy to buy, but they're not so easy to sell. Right? We can do it, but it's just not as easy.
Right.
Which, by the way, we put all that in our math. Okay, so when we're doing our math, that makes a difference when we're making offers, which one or the other. Right? So the really good market is 45 to 60 days. That's when the FSBOs are starting to like shift their way of thinking. They kind of humble a little bit, and they're
Right.
willing to hear what we have to say. Now, I don't want you going on to Google and spending the next 4.5 years trying to find those 3 perfect 45 to 60-day people and doing complete analysis to the point where you're just paralyzed.
Wait, why can't we come up with a software that isolates just the ones that are 45 to 60 days?
There you go.
Now, it only take a couple of months to develop the
Right.
software. And I know a guy. Oh,
I think
there you
that might possibly.
That qualifies as what I don't want you to do.
Yeah.
but didn't you see that's the best ones to do? So if you really spent the time,
That's right. So if you're doing that, the only reason why you're doing that is because you're having trouble confronting people and confronting the phone calls, and you're finding excuses so that when you do finally call someone, it's the perfect call and your ego doesn't get hurt. That's really what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what you need to do is just find 10 leads, which you
Mhm.
can do like in the next 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Find 10 leads and then use the script. Okay? So that was number 1. Number 2 is the script. So we're talking about the 5 easy steps. So the first step is finding the leads.
Mhm.
That's on Google. We just talked about that. The second thing is using a tested and proven script, which we have, and we're going to give to you right now. So this will help you find a seller who will take monthly payments for the expenses until they want to get paid off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/FSBO script, FSBO script. So that's flippinghousesforrookies.com/FSBO script. You can download the script that will tell you how to do that. Okay. So when you go over the script, Em, I forgot to get the script. Can you get it on my desk for me, please? It's in the pack from last night. So when you're going over the script, one of the things that you should not do, and you will do, because I tell this to people all the time, but they don't listen. You imagine that, Naomi? Somebody not listening to me. Huh?
Cannot imagine.
What?
Somebody not listening to me.
What?
Can you imagine that?
Incomprehensible.
Yeah, what? Pete says, what? What? What?
What'd you say?
Hey, you know my story. I have 2 sisters, 2 wives, an ex-wife and a new wife, and 2 daughters. Nobody in my house listens to me. Okay? Got it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they kind of hear you, but they have better ideas.
I'm
Bill.
sure we could analyze this situation further, but
They got better ideas.
anyhow.
Naomi wants to do stats. So the reason I'm telling you this is because these words have been tested. These sentences have been tested and proven. So it behooves you to use them. You should just use them and not reinvent the wheel. So this first sentence, which is credited to Naomi, is, hi, my name is Bill. Not that part. She knows I'm Bill. And you should use your own name, okay? Not my name.
Please.
Hi, my name is Bill. I'm calling to see if you're open to a terms purchase for the house you have for sale. And the reason why we do that is because when you were doing calls, well, why don't you explain it?
Yeah, so when I was doing calls, if you call and you start asking about the house, they think you're a regular, like for me, I think they thought I was some soccer mom, and they start telling me all about the neighborhood and how it'll be safe for kids, not to mention I don't have kids, but whatever. And on they go, and we don't even know if they are open to terms purchase yet. And you've just spent a half an hour or 45 minutes with them going on and on about the house. And so that question, are you open to a terms purchase, just cuts to the chase.
Right.
And you've saved tons of time. Plus, there can be some controversy in regards to, well, you haven't had time to build rapport then. But I found that it was almost more rapport building to just cut to the chase rather than have them spend a half an hour with you and thinking that you're, a soccer mom or something,
Sure.
only to find out, oh, you're a professional home purchaser.
Right.
Which completely changes the dynamic. So they appreciate it as well.
Sure.
And there's always that drop in the conversation of, oh, well, it's this awkward thing. Whereas if it's just straight to the chase.
Plus, not only does it do all that, it also weeds out, because what happens is realtors know that 88% of the for sale by owner market go to realtors because they can't do it.
That as well.
So when they call, a realtor will say, "Is your house still for sale?"
Exactly. So
And they know
use,
that.
Exactly. In fact, the realtor will also kind of engage them in conversation as if they're the buyer.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Oh, they really pretend a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, because it's an awkward thing. Like, you have to, with realtors, you actually have to, get on there and build rapport, rather than if you pick up the phone with a for sale by owner and say, "Hi, can I list your house for sale?"
Right.
They're going to be like, click.
Which
More
is
often
what
than not.
happens most of the time. You found, if we call and we say, "Is your house for sale?"
They'll answer very gruffly, "Are you a realtor?"
So what happens is what you're saying, and I know this because I've done it myself, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm calling to see if you're open to a terms purchase for the house you have for sale.
Right.
So that first of all, they're like, terms purchase. What is a terms purchase?
Gets
Which
the
is the next
conversation
part of
going.
the script. So
Yeah,
we're
but-
now in communication with them.
But they hear the word purchase,
Right.
so you
That's
get their
right.
attention.
Exactly.
Because
That's-
you say a lot of the times, what's the one thing a home seller wants to have? It's an offer, not buy the house. They want an offer.
Exactly.
So you want to hear on the phone that I'm calling about purchasing your house. That's
Right.
what they're hoping somebody's going to call to purchase the house. When you say purchase, they're happy to hear that.
Right.
They're not
Exactly.
mad that you're calling. I say that to get people not to worry about calling for sale by owners because they want to sell the house.
Exactly.
And if you say purchase, they'll probably talk to you.
Exactly. So they'll say, "What is a terms purchase?" And the next part of the script, which is just a couple lines, is basically what happens is you sell your house now without fees, as is, for a fair price and on a date of your choice, and we actually make payments so you can cover your expenses until we can get you paid off in full and you can move on with your life. Right? Now that's very carefully manufactured, that sentence. And then at that point they're like, "Oh, okay." So then we'll chit chat like, "Is it something you're interested in?" Right? That's kind of really the next question. And if they have any kind of spark there, you'll say, "Okay, well, we're definitely interested in buying your house." And this is the next most valuable sentence. A lot of times it works out best when doing something with the financing. You have a mortgage on the house, right? And they'll say yes. And you'll say, "Oh, how much is it?" And I could tell you, after years and years and years of talking to people, that sentence is worth a fortune if you do it correctly.
Even the part you have a mortgage on your house, right? It's not, do you have a mortgage on your house?
Right.
It's completely different.
Right.
You have a mortgage on your house, right?
Right. And if they don't give you, I had one the other day. He's like, he doesn't want to give me the number, and I just was I just kept asking the question. Well, a lot of times we do something with the financing. You have a mortgage on the house, right? And he's like, "Well, what do you need to know that for?" "So we can work out a good deal. You want to get the most amount of money for your house, don't you?" He's like, "Yeah." "Okay, so a lot of times what happens is we work something out with the financing. You have a mortgage on the house, right?" He goes, "Well, do I have to really give you that information?" I said, "We want to get the most amount of money for your house, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, a lot of times what happens is we do something with the financing and we're able to give you a good price. You have a mortgage on the house, right?" And he finally said, "Yeah, $130,000. But how many of you are gonna do that?
No, exactly.
That's great, Bill. I
Yeah.
just hat off to you.
I mean, just in life. Here's a tip from what Bill just said. When you ask somebody a question, notice if they answered you or not. Not if they said some words flapping out of their face, but if they actually answered what you really asked. And if not, ask the question again. I watch people all the time. They don't answer your
Yeah.
question. And very few people even ask, "Are you hungry again?" "Oh, it's getting late." "Oh, okay. Well, what time?" Forget, "Are you hungry?" So in your
The
context
biggest
of
one.
business.
The biggest one. Are you hungry? Why? What are you thinking? What'd you have in mind? I'm picking on Emma right now.
Question with a question.
One
Yeah.
question at a time. Are you hungry? Okay, next.
I had on my mind that I was hungry.
Yeah.
Are you hungry?
So in a business context, if you're trying to get something done to help someone and yourself, just get the question answered. Just hang in there.
Exactly.
Be polite
So-
about it. Be nice and just ask it.
Here's the point. There are two types of people in this process. One is a prospect, one is a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just quickly go through this. A lot of people have heard this before, but maybe there's some new people on the podcast that haven't heard it.
That's right.
No, it takes a while to get this through our thick heads
Yeah.
before you can,
Even if you've heard it before.
Yeah, I mean, here's my tip before you do that. You're not trying to convince people that you can buy their house and make a great deal. You're not trying to convince them.
Right.
They either are willing or they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, you can explain things. They're on the fence. If they're not willing, you're not going to change your mind.
So the easiest way to explain that is when you're fishing.
Mm.
You have your little bait in the water, and it's either the fish comes and nibbles on it or nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same exact thing.
Mm.
So when you get that little nibble, what are you going to do?
Tug.
You're going to work on getting him out of the water,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like that with real estate.
Yep.
If there's a little nibble, then keep working. If there's not a little nibble, keep smoking a cigar and drinking beer, right? Or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, it's not to convince the person that they should do this. It's just when they're in the right frame of mind, you'll know.
Right.
Yeah.
And once you hear a prospect, you will never go back. And sometimes
usually
it
they're
takes a while.
talking you into it.
Right.
You can be backpedaling, and they just keep on talking and keep on.
So let's talk about a suspect, because a suspect is usually someone, and it's taken me, I just had this realization the other day. It's like, because I was explaining it to somebody, and it was like, oh, wow. Somebody that doesn't want time. They're trying to take time out of the deal. That's a suspect.
Time, wow.
They're trying to take time out of the deal. In other words, they want their money now.
And they want all of it.
They want it over.
I mean, they can get their money now, but it's going to be at a significant discount.
Right. And because they're in a hurry to get their money, they're taking less profit and don't realize it because they don't know that they can do it another way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a suspect wants their money now. Money now meaning the next 30 days.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what a suspect is. He wants as much as he can get now. And he has plan B. He thinks if your offer is not good, he has another solution.
Mm-hmm.
So he's willing to waste you or not deal with you, but he's interested in what you have to say just in case he's missing something or she's missing something.
Mm-hmm.
That's a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just milking you along to see what they can get out of you
Yeah.
until they get tired and hang up.
Right.
Because they don't really want your help.
Right.
You said that before. That was interesting.
That's exactly where
They
I was
just
going next. They don't want help.
your help.
Yep.
They don't think they need your help.
They don't think they need your
don't
help.
need
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Now I don't need you.
And if you can't give them a check for $199,000 and they don't realize that there's, 12 or 13 or 15% closing costs, they don't think with that. They don't get that. They just want their money now. So really a suspect is taking time out of the equation. And we don't want that because a terms purchase is time.
Right.
And that's how we're able to do it. So a prospect then is the opposite of a suspect. Once we understand what a suspect is, we can then easily see what a prospect is. A prospect is someone that is willing to get help. They're willing to have time. They're willing to hear your different ideas about how you can help them and then make a conscious decision. Now, does every prospect close? No. But I'm going to tell you right now, you may not believe me. You may think this is too simple, but I'm going to tell you how to make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in real estate.
Woohoo!
I'm serious. I have. I've been
I
doing
know.
it for 15 years.
I know you have.
And the way to do that is to talk to motivated sellers.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to motivated sellers, something will happen. It's just law of averages.
Yeah.
It just will happen. So what do you need to do? The most important thing you should do is put yourself in front of, and I'm not talking about on the MLS or some email chat or texting, or I'm talking about nose to nose, toe to toe, in conversation, in communication with another human being that has the ability to sign his name or her name on a deed and give you a piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That is a good thing. That's the best thing you can do with your time.
Yeah.
Is make offers to motivated sellers. and you will change your life. Right?
Guaranteed.
Okay, good. So the purpose of the opening call, because we do it in 3 sections. We do an opening call, we do a closing call, and then we do a deal meeting. The purpose of the opening call is to find out who's a prospect and who's a suspect, right? And then the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, which is step 3, right, is you're going to want to figure out if you have a deal. So the first step is finding FSBOs, or calling FSBOs and finding them.
Right.
Second step is weeding out, well, who's interested, who's not, who wants
Right.
help, who doesn't want help, right? Who should I talk to, who shouldn't I talk to? Because suspects will suck the life out of you. They will steal your dreams. They will take everything out of you. They will eat you up and mash you up like a tree, one of those tree grinders that they have. What are those things called? Anyways,
Chippers.
wood chippers, like a wood chipper. Yeah,
Eat you alive.
right.
And the
Okay?
good ones are really good.
Yeah.
They strung us along a few times. And you
Yeah.
get to the end like, what? You go, bye-bye. Then we know when to stop, though, at
Yeah.
least. But they can be really good at it. And
That's right.
pretend and like, yeah, sure, I'm interested.
They can even say yes,
That's right.
and then you get there, and they are like, "Oh,
Change their tune.
we didn't understand," or
Yeah.
it was like, "What?"
That's not what I thought.
How could
Like
I
we
have
had
been more
we
clear?
had one the other day. Peter and I had one the other day. It was really good. Peter did several opening calls with him. Then I spoke to him. We went to the house and spent an hour and a half, 2 hours with him. We came back home and actually spent 45 minutes or so writing up a letter of intent. He wouldn't take it electronically, so we had to mail it to him so he could physically read it, and then calls me up because he wanted $340,000 for a $280,000 house that needed $30,000 or $40,000 worth of work. Our offer was $280 for this term, $300 for that term, $340 for another term. He actually said to me, "Are you crazy?" He called me, and when I talked to him, he's like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "What's the matter?" Now, how many conversations and we spent a half an hour just
Yeah.
on the offer in the house.
Yep.
He actually thought that we were going to give him a check for $280,000 and pay him $500 a month to get to the $240. He actually thought that
You're
the
making this up.
on top of the check, not like coming off the check.
You're making
No.
this up.
No.
he thought we were going to give him $280,000 at the closing. And I picked up on that when I talked to him and even said to him, "That's not happening. No. And I have it all recorded." But that was a suspect.
People hear what they want to hear. I mean, he's got something going on in his head that he has to get this done for some reason because of the family and who died and how much my
Right.
sister got and how much I didn't got and how much
He's
I
just
put
trying
in.
to
They
And I
have
have
others-
to get this amount to make my life even,
They have
so I
other
don't get
things,
screwed by
yeah.
life.
I think
That's
he's
my
just trying
number.
to be right. He's trying to prove to somebody he's smarter than everybody else.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Yeah. Well, don't be discouraged, people. Things do go through as well. They're not
Yeah.
all like that.
Here's the bad news, Naomi, which you already know.
Yes.
95% or more of the people you talk to are suspects.
Yeah.
And like Ron LeGrand so eloquently puts it, you whack the suspects. You whack them. What does that mean? Get them out of your life. Do not talk to them about real estate.
Exactly.
Whack-a-mole.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Well, now here's a question though. 95 people. How long does it take to
95.
figure out that you shouldn't talk to a person when you're using the script and asking those questions? How long does it take?
Few minutes.
Real quick.
What?
Few minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Two to 5 tops.
Right. I mean, unless you get one of these characters like what you two dealt with.
Yeah, and
But
that's rare.
That's not your everyday thing. Most people are paying attention, especially when
Yes.
you've had that many opening calls. And but it does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still learn from those.
You still learn
You
from
still
them,
learn
yeah.
from
The
those.
amazing
and you get
thing.
good practice. You know
the
what not to do.
amazing thing.
and what to
the
do.
amazing thing is you do most of this work from your desk.
Yeah.
Now we spent a couple hours with the guy out in the house, which is the most. I mean, the rest of it was done at our convenience at our desk.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to make sure that you figure out if they're a prospect or a suspect. The way you make tons of money in real estate is to talk to motivated sellers. This is the the second biggest gaping hole in most people's business. The first big gaping hole is, how do I find leads? How do I get leads to talk to? How do I find who's interested in my product?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second biggest gaping hole is the qualifying step. How do you qualify them to see if they actually are for real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So you got to do those two things. This does it eloquently. It does it perfectly. It does it easily. And once you get up to a point where you have made enough of these calls, which should be somewhere around 50 calls, you'll get tired of it, and you hire a virtual assistant or somebody else to do the calls. And you pay them $5 a call or $10 a call, or give them a commission when you buy the house, or
Right.
however you do it. But you get somebody else to make those calls. Somebody that's not as trained as you, because all they need to be trained on is the for sale by owner script.
Right.
All they have to do is they have to know those lines and when to use them, how to say them, and check the boxes off and pass the leads to you.
Exactly.
And
So that's
and you'll
step-
change your whole life.
Right.
Naomi's getting antsy.
So that's step number 1.
No, that's step number 1, 2, and 3. So step number 1, she's reading
Right.
the documents
Find
now.
a
Step
for
number
sale by
1
owner
is finding for
online.
sale by owners.
Use a tested
Step
and
number
proven.
2 is using the script.
Yes.
Step number 3
Schedule an appointment.
is making the deal. That's the closing call.
Got it.
Okay, so let's do this real quick. So what I'm talking about in this particular podcast is how to do a deal that you don't need a loan for. Right?
Sure.
So I get asked that often. How do you buy real estate without a loan? How does that work? Okay, so let's go back to what we were talking about with the suspect. What the realtor did in 1949 when they associated themselves,
Mm-hmm.
okay, was amazing. The reason why the Realtor Association is as big as it is right now is for this one simple fact. They took time out of it. See, prior to that, how we bought and sold real estate was
With terms purchases.
with terms purchases.
Or lease purchase. Yeah.
So what would happen is people wouldn't have, $100,000, $200,000. It wasn't that much back then, but they didn't have lumps of dough.
Right.
So they would make a deal. I give you 3 eggs and 4 chickens and 2 cows every month, right? Whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's how they sold property. Now the realtor comes on board and he says, "Hey, how about if I get you all the money now and you don't
Right.
have to wait?"
So you mean bank loans started more at that time?
Yeah.
You couldn't get loans before? I
No,
mean,
you
how-
could.
yeah.
But I'm just saying that the realtor
They
started
stream-
pushing them.
They started streamlining it.
Yeah, that's
they-
why. That's why
Mhm.
I had the show. What show is it? Hang on, I got to read this to you, because this is a great show. I talk about it all the time. How not to deal with the real estate mafia, I think it's called.
96, 97,
Is that what it is?
95, 92.
Yeah, I don't know where it is here.
Paraphrase yourself.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what it's about, because, usually jumps off to highlight it. So usually what happens is they all work together. They're in cahoots together, because the
Mhm.
realtor, you go to the realtor and he's like, "Well, I can't show you houses until you get a bank approval letter," right? You go to the bank and they're like, "Oh, well, I'll give you a bank approval letter, but I'll send it to the realtor."
Right.
You know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on. The
There-
inspector, the lawyer, and then the realtor says, "Okay, well, we have a contract. Who's your lawyer?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or your closing agent. So they're all in cahoots with one another. And why? Because they all make fees.
Yeah.
But the banker made it possible because he started telling these people that he could get, the realtor made it possible because him and the banker got together and they made it so that you could get their money right now. Right? So that's what happened.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So there are people that still are willing to wait for more money, because when we give them terms, we give them more money. Like I always say, if you buy my computer for $1,000 and you give me $1,000 worth of cash, how much you paying for my computer? But if you put it on your credit card and pay for it for 2 years, now how much are you paying?
1124.
It's the same philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to give you a terms deal, we're going to give you more money.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You just got to wait for it.
Yeah, it's like if you borrow the money, you have to pay to borrow the money.
Right.
So money, anything that drags on is more.
So what we talk about when we're doing that is we're talking about where do we get the money from? Right? So who's paying for this purchase? See, when you go to a realtor, the realtor gets the banker to pay for it, or you get the banker to pay for it. Actually, the buyer gets the bank to pay for it, and then they pay the bank back, right? Which is a huge business. They pay 3 times the amount of money they borrow over 30 years, right? So they get huge money. So the answer to the question, which I'm dancing around here, is how do you buy real estate without a loan? It's a big question. Everybody thinks that it's like this scammy thing. No, it's not. What you do is you get your seller to give you time so that your buyer can pay for it. Because that's where the money's coming from, is your buyer. There's no scam about this or nothing like that. It's not anything. It's just people don't think of that.
Yeah.
So you're saying to your seller, say, hey, Mr. Seller, let me pay your expenses for 2 years until I can bring you all the money. And then you go find the seller and say, hey, I got the seller over here. You're talking to the buyer. You got the seller over here that's willing to take payments until you can get a loan. And I'll help you get the loan. We got 2 years to do it. Are you interested? And they'll say yes, because 81% of this country is not financeable right now.
Right.
Right? So that's all you're doing. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about matching sellers and buyers and putting time in it. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, it's a standard business model. You find a problem and fix it.
Right.
So there's been a problem like this
For years.
for
Long
years.
time.
And I mean, the numbers might fluctuate, but 81 has been the number I've been hearing for a while.
Right.
People who can't get the finances.
Right.
So what happens to them?
Right.
So this is a hell of a service.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that's selling the house that can't get their full price, right? Even if they did get their full price, by the time you get done with all the fees, with the lawyers and the realtors and all that stuff, it's going to be 12, 15% missing. So just like when we buy the computer, if you pay $1,000 now, you get it for the lowest price. If you do terms, you can't get it for the lowest price.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with real estate. Okay, so how do we make our money? So I go to Naomi and I say, Mrs. I'm sorry, I was going to call you Mr. No can do.
Or Miss.
Miss.
Is it Mrs. Married?
There you go.
Right. Anyway.
Oh, he's
Wow.
role playing. He's role playing.
wow.
Relax.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Be the soccer mom.
Huh? Pretty soon, Pete, we're going to have a show on getting Naomi a date. Change her from Miss to Mrs. She's turning red now.
I know. Every time we
Yeah,
try
that
that, I
is-
don't know. It'd be a red show.
Yeah.
You and I are not going to help her. We are so far
Not
from not the right
qualified.
public.
Not qualified.
Not qualified.
I don't know. I've
Needs-
had my licks.
Yeah, they were 30 years ago, Peter.
No,
Thus my point,
no,
okay?
no,
How long have you been married, Peter?
Nothing to do with my
How long have you
marriage.
been married?
43.
Okay, there you go. It's been 43 years you've been out of the
42,
game,
42.
okay?
No, but I still help
I've been
people.
30-something years out of the
I
game.
have a
We're
very
not
good
helping
memory.
Naomi,
I read
okay?
a book once.
It's
Pete.
a completely different
Pete.
world out there now.
Just admit it. We're
Right.
not in the game anymore, okay?
We're not in the game.
Okay, good.
They give us the right to talk about it.
We'll sympathize with her and listen to her stories, but that's as far as we're going, okay?
Yeah, this is enough work.
Miss-
Anyway,
Miss Seller
Miss
says,
Seller, that's right.
I will sell you my house for $100,000, regardless of what it's worth, and I will
That's the
accept $500 a month payments. And I go to Mr. Buyer, Peter, and I say, I have this house. You don't qualify for a mortgage, right?
No, I can't get a mortgage right now. My wife is on my butt.
Right. So how do I know that? How do I know that? Because the ad that I put in, wherever I put it in, either on Craigslist or whatever, Facebook, wherever I put the ad, says house for sale, no bank qualifying, credit doesn't matter. Or house for sale, owner financing, credit's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So when you call me, what do I know?
No, I don't have credit. Can't get a loan.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm
There you
in
go.
trouble.
I don't have to ask that question. It's already
No.
been it's already been answered.
No, that's
No
your
credit,
ad.
yeah.
I mean, that's a message to the market.
Right. Exactly.
I'm 81%.
So
And
now
that guy doesn't realize there's so many people like him. He might be a little bit embarrassed, but there's a lot of people in that
That's
situation.
right.
And there's nothing wrong with them. They just got a new job. They just moved. They started a business. Got
divorce.
divorced.
Yeah.
I've talked to people couldn't buy the house. $400,000 in a 401k. He could put $40,000 on the house. He's stuck in living in New York City somewhere with a bunch of kids in an apartment.
Wow.
He wanted to get out, but he had a divorce. His credit score was crappy.
Exactly.
$400,000. He could have just paid for it. And just
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So Mr. Buyer says, "Yeah, I'll give you $110,000 for that house and $800 a month."
No, but how'd you get to 110 for a $100,000 house?
Because
Exactly.
he's getting it from me for
Mhm.
100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he's a business. He needs to make money.
But see, here's the thing: if you want to buy that house today,
Mhm.
you pay $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to wait, how much do you pay?
More.
There you go.
Yeah,
So there's the 110.
No, these folks are in a bit of a jam. If they don't do this, they're going to rent and rent and rent and rent, and they're going to waste more money.
That's
So-
not even it that they're in a
Mhm.
gym. We're not taking advantage of them. It's just the laws of money.
Mhm.
You pay now, you get it cheaper. You pay later, you pay more.
Right. But I'm just saying from his perspective, he goes, damn, I'm in a gym. If it's a little bit more money, I don't care. My wife will be happy.
Yeah.
I'm not accepting that. And here's the
Okay.
reason why. I'm serious.
Because it's your show.
No, that's not it at all.
What?
It's because I sat with a lot of buyers. I am telling you, they never, ever, ever, never, 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 in case you didn't get it, never ask the price.
Mm-hmm.
They never ask.
No, when I've worked with people on these, that's not their concern.
Yes.
How much down and how much a month.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what, even if you
They
buy a
know
house.
they're in that situation. Price is
Yeah.
not even in consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, who cares how much the house costs? It's every month that you have to pay the bills, what you got to worry
Right.
about with your wife, and you do the bills every month.
Right.
You know what we're
Does it
selling?
matter if it's 200 or 300?
Do you know what we're selling? Do you know what I'm selling you, Mr. Buyer?
A dream.
A way of life.
Yeah, the American dream way of
A
life.
way of life. You know what I'm selling to Naomi?
Mm-hmm.
A change in life. Because she wants to move on. And Peter, you can do this for the next few minutes because you'll go on and on and on if I let you. The big realization that you had some time ago is that a house could actually be a problem for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think, oh, house is an asset. Well, get somebody who has a house and he has a job that takes him out of state, and his parents leave him a house. He's trying to renovate it. And his girlfriend steps up, she thinks she can do it. And she does it for a while, but he's never home. He's on the road with his business and in his office with his business, and he helps a
Right.
little bit. After a while, she gets tired. Like, I don't want this house. We have money with the business. We'll just take some money and get out of it. That's one example that we saw, both of us, a while back.
Another one is probate.
Yeah.
Probate. Mommy and daddy lived in a house for 40 years, 50 years. It's full of stuff that I don't want, and I got to spend my summer cleaning it out.
Mm-hmm. But another thing is, when mommy and daddy die, you're not young usually.
Yeah.
My mom turned 94 yesterday. 94.
Yeah.
I'm not young.
Right.
So if I was a different person, I might not be in a position to bother with all that stuff.
Right.
Because my brother doesn't want to help. He's 2 states
about
away.
this
My
one?
sister's sick and she can't help him. They're dumping it on me. I got to fix everything.
How about
That's
this
another
one?
real one.
I have a student right now that's
Yeah.
buying a $300,000 house
Mm.
for $75,000 because of a tax problem. I don't want to go into the story now. And he's overpaying
Mm.
compared to everybody else. But here's the moral of the story. He's got kids. Why didn't they do it?
Yeah.
Why didn't they do
I
it?
was hearing that. Like, this has been going on for a couple. You don't get in tax trouble overnight. It goes on and on and on and on. He has kids.
Yep.
Like, you can't jump in and help.
I mean, my mother-in-law is in an assisted living place, costs $323 a day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if it cost
So
me a few
expensive.
$100s a month to keep my mother and father in their house, I would probably do that
Mm-hmm.
for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But people are people.
Yeah, but the thing is, I moved into my mom's house when my dad died, and I have my own house. We're juggling too, but there's just enough money to pay for everything. I'm saving a $300,000 house. You think I'm letting that slip
Right.
through my fingers for my family?
Right.
They let that slip through their fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
For not paying the taxes, it's gone. The little nest egg, poof.
Right.
That's not smart.
So what most people don't realize in step 3 is that people actually there's 2 reasons why they want to sell the house. Usually it's for some sort of debt relief, and I don't mean like foreclosure or desperate or anything like that. It's just some sort of debt relief. They just don't want the payment. Or it's a problem. The house is causing them a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to get rid of it. Right?
Yep. Correct.
So in step 3, your offers are all going to be predicated on that.
Mm-hmm.
So like in this particular case, I can buy the house from, I don't even buy the house. Here's the amazing thing. I know we're late on time, but I have to do this because this is the vanguard of the whole system. When you understand this clearly, your life will change. I mean, I am so passionate about this because when you understand this, your life clearly changes. You could be, oh my God, you could be worth so much money.
Mm-hmm.
You can have everything you want in life if you understood this. So I'm going to Naomi, Miss Seller.
Mm-hmm.
And we agree. Wow, I'm really having trouble with this. It's the miss thing. It's the miss thing.
If you want to say
I don't-
Mrs., you can say Mrs.
I don't
I
think
will
of you
forgive
as a miss. There you go. So, and I should because you are, but there you go. Anyways, you know what it is? You're in that weird part in my mind. Like Emma, you know, she just turned 24. So it's like she's my child, right? And then I have friends my age. You're like in that kind of strange. It's like
in between.
Yeah.
No,
We don't
Yeah.
know you.
no that
no.
It's, just
It's like
just a
the stage of
different
life.
thing. Yeah.
It's like you're not a child,
We
Yeah.
don't.
but you're not quite a senior either.
Right.
Or not necessarily a senior, but like
Kind of
like
that
in a-
weird thing.
it's just like this in between.
All right, so we got everybody in suspense, and we're
Yes,
digressing.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that could change your life. Okay, just get this concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to Naomi and I say, she wants $100,000 for the house, and she wants relief from it for whatever
Right.
reason. And I say to her one of two things. We'll do one scenario first, then we'll go back into the other scenario. Okay. I will buy your house for $100,000 and I will pay you $500 a month. And I need 2 years or 5 years or 7 years, whatever we agree, amount of time to pay you in full. And she says yes. I sign what we call an option agreement, which means I have the option to buy the house. Does that mean that if I change my mind, I can do that?
You can.
I don't have to buy the house, right?
Right.
It's an option, meaning it's optional.
Absolutely.
I don't have to do it. I give you $100 to consummate the deal. In other words, the $100 is considered legal tender.
Yeah.
It binds the contract, so it makes it real.
Yeah.
I go to Peter with that one piece of paper, who's Mr. Buyer, and I say, I have this piece of property that you can get the option to buy it for $110,000, and it's $800 a month. I sell Peter that option agreement for a $10,000 down payment, because when you put money on an option agreement or towards an option agreement, it's non-refundable because you're putting it like a deposit. So let me ask you this question. If you buy a house and put down $30,000 and you buy it from the bank and put down $30,000 and then don't pay your mortgage a year later, and they foreclose, what happened to that $30,000?
Poof.
It was a non-refundable deposit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The banks do it, so we're doing it. It's completely 100% legal. It's just
Yep.
it's
Well,
just the way we're using
Well,
it.
would you hold a piece of? Someone says, "I want to buy your house." Sure. And would you hold it for them? They're promising to buy it in 2 years, unless they gave you a chunk of dough to prove it.
Right.
I wouldn't do it.
Exactly right.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the deposit is just a vested, like I'm vested, and I'm not going to just walk away.
Yeah.
You know,
Put your money
I'm-
where your mouth. Are you gonna
right.
buy it? Show me.
Right.
Give me some now.
So pay attention to this. So I bought a piece of paper from Naomi for $100. A piece of paper. I didn't buy the house. I promised to buy the house. I didn't buy it though, and I sold that promise to you for $10,000. One piece of paper. And I never had the house. So what do I have at risk? What do I have at risk?
Nothing.
That's it. So I don't need money because I'm getting the money from my buyer. I don't have any risk because I'm not borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if I decide I want to walk away because it didn't go so well, I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you give a realtor 6 months to see if they'll sell the house. If they don't, they just walk away.
Right?
They have nothing invested. They don't even have the $100 invested.
That's correct.
Once you understand that portion of the system, you're golden. Which, by the way, that's step 4. So let's do it again. Step 1 is finding the for sale by owners. Step 2 is using the for sale by owner script and weeding out the prospects and the suspects and who should I talk to, motivated sellers. Step 3 is knowing that you're going to either rent from them or do an option from them or do an option to lease. You know, which one of these do you want to use? And if you need more information on that, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. We have a bunch of materials there for that. There's 100 and what are we on? 102? 101 podcasts on that. Okay, we don't need to cover that now. But the point is that I'm buying a terms deal.
Correct.
I'm not even buying it. All I'm buying is the piece of paper, the contract to control it. I don't even own the house. The house is not in my name. Or the second scenario, which we were talking about before, is actually she doesn't want to give me an option. She doesn't want to do that. So I just rent it from her, from rent to own. And it's the same exact deal. It's just different language.
Right.
Just different paperwork. It's the same exact deal. I'm going to pay her. You're going to pay me. And there you go. The $10,000 that you're giving me is a non-refundable deposit. I don't have to worry about that. So if I'm selling a house for $110,000 and you pay me $10,000 deposit, how much do you owe?
100.
And how much do I owe Naomi?
100.
There you go. You
That's
just
simple.
made $10,000 for buying a piece of paper. So all you need to do is find those two people. And how many times a month could you do that? As many times as you can dial the phone on calling for sale by owners and find them. Which, by the way, brings me to step. So step 3 is structuring the deal, finding out if they're willing to do that on the phone. Step 4 is go out, look at the house, make sure that it's correct, and sign the documents with them. Make sure the house is feasible. Make sure it's not dysfunctional or anything like that. Okay? And then step 5, which is the last thing I want to cover for the last few minutes, is selling the house. We've already covered it, actually. There's not much to cover. Because the truth of the matter is if you have someone, like we were talking about before, right, that went through foreclosure. He's got a husband as a guy with a wife and 3 kids. All of a sudden, she lost her job, you know, or I'm going through this right now, you know, a spouse that's ill, and I have medical bills up the yin-yang, right? It doesn't take much. In 1 week, my whole financial situation went upside down and in the sewer. Like in 1 week, because she got ill. Right? That happens. Right? I mean, fortunately for me, I know how to make money, so I'm not worried about it. But what happens if you don't have that tool?
Right.
So next thing you know, you stop paying the bills, you do this,
You wind up selling your house for $75,000.
Yeah. Or whatever. The point is you're not out of the house, you can go into foreclosure. That's usually what happens. You go into foreclosure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you move everybody out and you're either in mom and dad's house, yours or hers, or you're in some apartment where their kids are sleeping on top of one another. And they're in a school system you don't want to be in. You come home every day thinking, oh my God, the kids are fighting because they don't have room in their bedroom, and who's in this, and you know, you're struggling for groceries, and you're like blah 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 blah, all this stress, right? And then all of a sudden you see an ad wherever you see it that says house for sale, no bank qualifying, credit doesn't matter. It's like this ray of light, right? Do you need to worry about selling your house when you're doing that? Yes or no?
No, the way, well, you have some really good marketing to do it, and some of the deals I did were just simple Craigslist, and I'm no computer whiz. You just put some pictures, you just say something,
Yeah.
and the phone rings. They really call you. You think, oh, no one's going to call, and the phone rings.
Too much sometimes.
Yeah,
Matter of
driving
fact-
around. Yeah,
Matter of fact, we put it through some pre-qualifying steps because it rings too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we did one at Christmas time. That was one of the hardest ones I did, actually.
Right.
It's actually in the How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan. It's actually a
Right.
documentary of that house.
mm-hmm.
I did it at Christmas time. And by the way, honestly, that's the hardest one I've ever done. Because we put ads. I spent $30 on Facebook, and I show you how to do this in the course. $30 on Facebook, and we had 100 and something phone calls in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 28 people or something go through the house. And it came down to 2 people.
Yeah.
And it was done.
Yep.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
So I'm saying this because I can imagine people looking at what you're saying, well, it sounds like it would work, but how many people will actually say yes or want to do it? I'm just saying that, look outside. There's houses everywhere.
And you only need one.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
everywhere. Just driving down the street. There's houses. I'm in the real estate business. How's that? Well, there's houses everywhere if you know what you're doing, but there's people who want to buy them. There's apartments everywhere, and there's houses. They want to go from one to the other.
In this past 12 months, there's 3 houses in this neighborhood that got sold my way, and I didn't even see them.
You're really?
There's a rehab around the corner they just finished. There's a guy across
yeah,
the
the
street.
rehab.
Matter of fact, I was thinking yesterday, the guy across the street from me bought a house and built a house in Virginia, and he's only here like once every 2 months. And when I see him again, I'm going to go over and say, can I lease your house? I'm just going to say it to him. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go over and say, hey, I noticed you're living down. How about if I lease your house from you? And see what he says.
Yeah.
He got the house from his father. His father
Yeah.
lived there. He inherited the house. So I know
Wow.
he doesn't know anything. So I'm just going to walk across the street and say, hey, because to your point, they're right under your nose.
Mm-hmm. I was walking my dog last month, and I see a vacant house. And I'm looking at it, and I see, and then somehow I got it was a phone number, like a for sale by owner, and it was the ex neighbor of my parents. So I live in the house now. I go, is this Peter Coca-Cola? Yes. Oh, how's your mom? And we're off. He wound up renting it to a parishioner that the house burned down. He's getting $3,000 a month rent.
From the insurance company.
Yeah, for just a regular, nice $250,000 house, $3,000 a month.
That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah, so for a year until the house is fixed, they get to move back in. So I'll call you next year because it's he bought it to rent or whatever, and he wants to do
Yeah.
something. But it's they're just
Yeah,
take
now,
the dog for a
now
walk.
the price
It's around
is
the corner.
$40,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
He just made 40 grand. All right, good. So let's recap. You ready?
Let's go.
Okay, good. Because you were worried about the steps, so I want to make sure that it's clear. Are we clear?
We're
If it's
clear.
not, then tell me.
It's crystal clear.
Good. So number 1 is finding your
Leads.
leads. You have to find leads. Who are they? Number 2 is pre-screen them and using the script, which you'll find at flippinghouses.com/FISBO script. Number 3 is it says schedule an appointment and go see the house and make an offer. The offer is just what we're talking about. Just in the beginning, just do a rent to own.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to do. Just do a rent to own.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to make one comment there. If they owe too much money on the house, like suppose the house is worth 100 and they owe 110, would you throw that deal in the trash?
Nope.
Why?
There's a way to work that where you just stretch out the term
That's right.
of the lease. That's
See what
all.
she did?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that was my realization a week or so ago. It's time. She put more time into it. So what she's saying is instead of doing a 2-year lease, do a 10-year lease.
Right.
Make
Which
sense?
was really your idea, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
But the point is she put more time into
Yeah.
it, right? So what that means is, okay, so I buy your house for $110,000, but instead of leasing it from you for 2 years, I got to lease it to you for 10 years from
Right.
you for 10 years. And the reason why is because I need to get the liability down, what you owe down, and let the equity catch up, and it
Right.
will take me that long to do it.
Exactly.
And what do you think Peter's going to say when he's in that situation? He's got those 3 kids sleeping on one another. You're going to say, hey, Peter, how about I give you 10 years? 10 years to him is like eternity. It's like a
Yeah.
lifetime.
It's like, wow, cool. All right.
How hard is that going to be?
Yeah.
So just think with that. I'm going to lease from you with an option to purchase, and I'm going to give it to Peter, and I'm
Right.
going to get paid to do it.
Right.
If you could get that concept, your life will change. And there are people there. The only thing that's stopping you is you need a few scripts, and you've got to go find them. If you want the entire thing where I lay it out 1, 2, 3, just go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/buy without a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buy without a loan. Or just go to flippinghouses4rookies.com. It's the course is $497. You'll get it eventually because it has all the paperwork in it, has everything you do. I show the ads of how I sell. It's got everything step by step.
Right.
I've had brand new green people go into that course and within 15 and 18 days buy 2 houses. Brand new people that never did real estate. So if that's you, then just go do that. I'm not here about that right now. I'm just here about the 5 steps. Okay? So that's step number 3. Now I got to do it again because I keep putting too much time in here. So let's do it again. Step number 1 is you find it for sale by owner. Step number 2, you pre-qualify them. Step number 3, you make him an offer on the phone with a closing script, and you go look at the house, right? Step number 4 is you're in the house. You make sure it's a house you want to do, and you sign the documents with them, which in this case is an option agreement and a lease. They're 2 simple forms. They are not very hard. If you're in my course, I show you in video, start and stop the video as many times as you want, and I give you the forms, and I say, on this line, do this. Right. On that line, do this. On this line, do that. And literally 15 minutes later, you will have the documents that you can bring to your seller, and you can actually present them to your seller, and it's done.
And you explain the details so people understand it's not a complicated contract.
Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time explaining them because the form does it itself. But I do explain why you're putting something.
It's
right.
not complicated. I'm saying
it's not complicated.
Yeah, it's a form. It's a legal thing. I won't understand.
No way.
Right,
you will understand them.
All right.
100%. And then when I go to Peter, I have to have different forms for him. I give you the forms, and I say, okay, here's what you do. You fill out these documents. And then I even show you, okay, when you sit down with Peter, here's what you say to Peter. And we go over the parts of the contract that you're going to talk about, because the contract does all the work.
Yep.
And you find, which is step number 5, you find Peter and you sell. And you do the paperwork. So what are we getting paid to do? Shuffling paperwork around. That's what we're getting paid to do.
That's what it all boils down to.
Right? So the result is you help the seller sell a house. They were having trouble selling, usually, or didn't want to use a realtor. You help the buyer buy a house that normally couldn't buy a house, and you're completely transparent with everybody, so they know, so Pete knows about Naomi knows about Pete. Everybody knows I'm making $10,000. I'm not hiding it. I tell them right up front, if you don't like it, just go away. Somebody else will pay it. Okay? And you're completely transparent and make profits. Once you do these 5 steps, you get your check. Once you get your check, you rinse and repeat. As fast or as slow as you want. And I'm going to tell you what the throttle is on the machine is how many phone calls you're making to for sale by owners. That's the throttle. We're going through it. I know. I'm experiencing it. When we throttle it up and get FSBO calls done and closing calls done, I'm busy making deals. When we don't, we aren't doing anything. And my week gets filled with minutia. And that's it.
So start with step 1.
Yeah.
And you'll be rocking and rolling.
So by next week, Emma said she wishes I knew I had this form. By next week, we'll have it uploaded and we'll give you a link. Okay? So if you so are inclined to do this, please go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/podcast and rate our podcast. Good, bad, or indifferent. Please go there and rate the con. Emma's coming.
iTunes review. You always forget that. flippinghousesforrookies.com/iTunes review.
Oh.
Step-by-step guide.
There you go. flippinghousesforrookies.com, iTunes review. So please go there and give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you think, but just give us feedback, because that's how we keep the podcast ranked. At this particular point, I think we're almost 750,000 downloads. 750,000, 730, 750 downloads, something like that. And it's because you guys listen and you rank us. And one thing I will say before I go, I know we're a little bit late, but one thing that I am proud of, I am extremely, extremely proud of, and you don't know this because I've never said this before. We've had 750,000 downloads. Peter and I have been doing this for 2 years. You've been just recently, 6 months,
Right.
8 months, whatever. We're going to go figure that out, by the way. There are no commercials. I don't have sponsors.
It's just raw, solid
It's just
information.
raw data. There's no sponsors. There's none of that commercial stuff. You go anywhere else, Bigger Pockets, all those other things, which is fine. And maybe you're okay with that, but there's no sponsors here. And the reason why there's no sponsors is because we want to make sure that the information is going right from what works to you. Okay? So the only thing I'm asking for in return is
A review.
go give us a review.
Yeah. Let us know how we can improve.
Okay.
Or if you like it, let us know.
Good. So thanks for being with us. See you next week.
Over and out.
Bye, Miss Naomi.
Mrs.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.